Now, this was many years ago, but I love to share this story. If I had my slide deck with me, I would share the pictures of this story. And my husband loves it when I share it too. I was sitting there having coffee, and my husband came in and he sat down on the couch. And my dog Nigel looked at him and got up and walked over to him, standing in front of him, just staring at him. And I thought, this is going to be a conversation. So I grabbed my phone. Now I didn't put video. I wish I had done video because that would have been even better. I was just clicking photos, just photo after photo. So I first took the picture of him just staring there. Next, what I got to witness was Nigel literally staring at him. My husband going, what? What do you want? Do you want up here? Right? And Nigel just got up on the couch beside him, staring at him with this look of just move, 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 human, move. And Mark kept moving over and be like, what? And then finally he was like, oh gosh, fine. And he got up and he moved to the other side of the couch and Nigel lay down. I have this is all documented. I have the pictures to prove the sequence of events. And I started laughing and looked at him and went, you've been married to me for how long? And you still don't understand the leadership scorecard? Are you kidding me right now? And he has had that sort of like, kind of look. So I thought today I would share a little bit more about the leadership scorecard. I have been talking and teaching about the leadership scorecard for quite some time, but I think it's worth revisiting because there's some nuances to it. And listen, this is a really important scorecard to fully grasp and understand. If you are someone like me who wants to have your dogs share space with you, share your furniture with you, share your bed with you, this is very, very important to understand. I am not a person that says you can't have your dogs on the furniture, but I am a person that says if you do, you better know your scorecard, because if you don't, there could be trouble ahead. Let's get into it.
Are you worried that your fearful dog may hurt someone or something else? Do you have to prepare just to take a walk around the block? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I too had that dog. The one that you could only walk at nighttime when no one else was around. And I felt ashamed, and oh gosh, I wish that people could just see the dog that I know and love. I wanted the confidence to be able to walk my dog and not have to worry about who or what was around the corner. And I kept telling myself that if I just keep doing obedience drills and distracting with treats, that things would get better. Until I found the secret. Fear is not something that you can train out of a dog. In this podcast, you will find tips to help build your dog's confidence naturally, communication and understanding to foster that trust, and how to address those fear-based behaviors effectively so that you can enjoy a stress-free life with your dog. So if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners, grab your notebook, and let's get to it.
Hey friend, before I get started, I wanted to just remind you that the Black Friday sale for the Fearful Dog, Fearful Framework is currently happening right now. From November 25th to November 29th, you can get $50 off the Fearful Dog Fearless Framework, that incredible program for fearful dog owners to find the confidence in themselves to be able to build confidence in their dogs. You can get that now. Make sure you go to beyondobedience.ca/fearless and put in coupon code podcast to get that incredible deal. Don't miss out. It's ending soon. Okay, let's get to it. Hello, my dog loving friend. It's Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience. I am so glad that you are here. I was reminiscing. I was also going through some old photos when I saw those photos. It still makes me laugh to this day. Still makes me laugh. Probably doesn't make Mark laugh. Probably doesn't make him laugh because I have shared those photos in seminars. I've shared them in webinars. I'll share them in my email. If you're on my email list, you'll get them. I'll share them again. I love it. I love it. It was such a great conversation. And I will say, it's not that Mark doesn't understand or know the leadership scorecard. It literally was just, he wasn't really dialed in that day. He was drinking his coffee. He was on his phone. He was just like, and it was just easier for him to move. But watching the whole thing go down in real time, I had to not only document it, but then I had to bring it up a lot. So if you're new to me, hello. If you've never heard me talk about the Leadership Scorecard, I'm going to tell you all about it. But I am going to say there's going to be some nuances to it this time around. I've been talking about the Leadership Scorecard for many, many years. And I'm going to give you the simplified version of it so you can start being aware of it. This is an exercise of awareness, okay? You don't actually have to have a physical scorecard. However, if you'd like one, feel free. Many of my clients have done that. They put a piece of paper on the fridge and they started actually keeping score. And you don't have to do it that long before you realize that you are losing a lot of points. And we all are. We all are. I should let you know I lose points to my dogs every single day. The difference is I know that I'm losing them, right? It's funny actually in my house because my kids will now point it out. They'll be like, Mom, you lost a lot of points with that one. I'm like, I know, but I just don't care, you know? So the scorecard is not, you're not aiming for a perfect scorecard. This isn't a thing where you're like, I'm going to get all the points. My dog is going to get none. That's not the point of this. It's a very fluid thing. But today I wanted to actually do the Leadership Scorecard Revisited because I'm going to give some more nuances to it. So if you've heard it before, buckle in. We're going to talk about it a little bit more here. We're going to talk and we're going to add some nuances to it. So basically, simply put, the Leadership Scorecard is this. Every single time you do something for your dog, you are going to ask yourself, was that my idea? And the dog followed through. Or was it the dog's idea and I followed through? Okay. Was it my idea and the dog followed through, or was it the dog's idea and I followed through? If it was your idea and the dog followed through, you score a point on the Leadership Scorecard. But if it was the dog's idea and you followed through, your dog scored a point on the Leadership Scorecard. Now, this is normally where in seminars, when I share this is normally when I see people looking up and then they make this face of, uh-oh, because there's a realization that comes over you when you're like, maybe it's all the dog's points. Like we start to, it hits hard. It hits hard the first time that you do that. That's why I want to remind you, it's okay. You're okay. All right. It's okay. And there's going to be a different leadership scorecard per person and per dog. If you have multiple dogs, every dog's going to have their own unique scorecard. They're going to have their own unique scorecard with other people in your house. Okay. So, and certain dogs, I will say, I allow for a lot more points being held their way than my way, if you know what I mean. Other dogs, you can't. But certain dogs. So that's why I say there's some nuance to this, but I'm going to take it down a little bit deeper. We're going to drop it down a level deeper. Okay. So basically, if it was your idea, the dog does it, you scored that point. If it was the dog's idea, you did it, they scored a point. And it counts for every single thing you do for your dog. Every single thing. Okay, if your dog gets you to move your feet, to touch them, to move over, to give them space, to whatever, the dog scored the point. You notice I put in there if the dog gets you to touch them, because affection is where most of us are losing our points. Affection. A dog will come over and be like, you'll pet me because look at my face. And I fall for it every time. Nigel just has to sit in front of me and stare at me and I'll be like, I love you so much. And I'll squish his face. And that's what he wanted. And he scored a point. And I know that. I'm weak. I am weak. Right? So it's going on. And I should say this because some people are like, you know what? It's fine. I don't really care. Like even if you don't believe me, if you're like, that's not what happens. I've had the people that have come up and be like, there's no such thing as leadership, blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're doing it or not. The dog is. You could decide not to play this game. Your dog's playing it because it's how they relate to the world. They started this very, very early on. They started this when they were puppies, right? When they start moving around and discovering each other, they discover that if I step into space and you move out of my space, I gain that space. puppy A goes up to puppy B and play bows and then runs away and gets puppy B to chase them, they scored a point. They figured out, if I do this, I can get this puppy to play with me. I wanted that. He did it. I scored the point. So this is just how they relate to the world around them. And because that's how they relate to the world around them, dogs only know how to be dogs. Right? What we do, the teaching them obedience as, obedience commands and English as a second language, that's us trying to get them to understand us and helping them to relate to us and all that stuff. But the bottom line is they're still communicating with us in their language. And if you're going to be blissfully unaware of it and then run into problems later on, and I say to you, you got to start checking this, and you're like, I don't believe in leadership. Well, your dog does. Your dog does. Okay, so it counts for everything that you do. And I always use this example because it really ruffles feathers. If your dog goes over to the door and asks to go out and you get up and you move your feet and you let your dog out, technically they scored a point. They got you to move your feet. And everyone always bites back with this and they're like, but Tracy, I taught them to do that. I housebroke the dog. I trained them to do that. Yep, but they still got you to move your feet. They still scored the point. So how do we get those points back? And this is where we're going to get a little bit more nuance, because I used to say this is where obedience can help you, right? This is where your obedience commands can help you, because if you ask your dog to sit, it was your idea and they did it, they followed through, therefore you scored a point. I've since taken that back. What? Yes, I have. And here's why. And this is where it gets a little bit, buckle in, this is where it's going to get a little bit deeper. Here's why. The reason why I've started to take that back is you might not get as many points as you think you're getting by doing obedience with your dog, is because there is a good chance you taught that obedience with a transactional reward, meaning you've taught the dog that if you do this behavior, there's a good chance you may get this treat. So therefore, follow me along with this. Therefore, the dog is doing it for the benefit of the off chance of getting a reward. They're not doing it because you said so necessarily. You see what I'm saying? And this is where some people are going to get kind of sticky with this and they're going to have some feelings about it because it sounds like I'm saying, you have to do it because I asked you to. But at the end of the day, if you taught obedience with a reward, like a food reward, and you're using obedience to try to gain you back some points, there's a good chance they don't see it as a leadership point. They see it as a transactional event. If I do this, I'm going to get a food reward. If I do this, I'm going to get something. They're not looking at it through leadership. So while I used to say, if we take that example of going to the door, I used to say, if you get your dog to sit and wait and then invite them outside, you get some points back. I've now changed that because, for one, I don't ask my dogs to sit and wait. These are those things where I'm like, I don't actually do those things. I don't know why I keep telling people to do that. That's not what I do. And because I have, successfully navigated living with multiple dogs for many, many years, different characters, different personalities, in and out of my house, all sorts of dogs. I have to be real when I say, like, okay, I don't do that, but you can do that and you're going to get the same results. I don't think you will. I think now the difference is that what I do instead is that if my dogs say they want to go out, I'll be like, do you want to go out? And they they get me to get off the couch and I go to the door. I don't ask them to sit and wait. I instead step into their space. I basically am like, I'll back them out of the space so that I can open the door. And I may put my hand up, like snap and put my hand up and be like, hold off for a second without any commands. So I'm now taking space back from them, therefore gaining my leadership point back. Okay. And that's the difference. That for me is a different relationship than if I had said sit and stay. Now, the funny thing is, I don't think any of my dogs would sit because I don't do a lot of obedience. I really don't. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I feel like I have to say that every time I say that. Not that there's anything wrong with obedience. Obedience is great. You should have a shared language with your dog and all the, this should be my disclaimer every time I make that comment. I don't have obedient dogs. Full out. Don't have obedient dogs, but I do have good dogs, just good dogs. And so I wanted to share that today with this leadership scorecard, revisited, revamped, whatever. And for those of you that are really like, I want you to let me know what you think about that. Because as I mentioned, I've been talking about the leadership scorecard forever, it seems, and lots of people love it. And it's a great tool. It's a great tool in awareness, right? Because as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, if you are somebody that wants to share space with your dog, in particular, sharing levels like your furniture or even more so your bed is a very intimate zone, and inviting a toothy predator into your intimate zone while you sleep is a risky thing to do. So if you want to have that kind of trust bond relationship, you better be sure your leadership scorecard is on point, my friend. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm not someone who says you can't have that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can. You just have to be aware. You have to be aware of the canine conversations that are going on. And it goes far beyond obedience. Oh my gosh, beyond obedience. See what I did there? That seems like a great place to end this. That seems like a great place to end that. That's the leadership scorecard revisited. What do you think about that? Tell me your thoughts. If you've heard it before, let me know. If you're now thinking at it from a different level, and the canine conversations that we have, the fact that we might not be getting the points that we thought we were getting by doing obedience, we can get some of those points back by actually taking space back and all of that stuff. Let me know what you think. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, can you do me a favor and share it? Share it with other dog friends. Share it on your Facebook wall. Share it with your neighbors. Share it. Share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, please give me a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps to push the podcast out to more and more dog lovers like you and me so that we can hang out together. And as always, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you are amazing, and so do I. Make sure that we're pen pals. Go to beyondobedience.ca for more information about that. Join the free Facebook community. I want to stay connected with you. Let's do that. Let's stay friends. And I think that's it. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only. It is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you are really struggling with your dog, please be sure to reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.